Pokemon Generation 11, yes, you guys heard me correctly. Pokemon Generation 11 has some brand new information. Now, this is one of the upcoming Pokemon games that will be dropping within the next few years. So firstly, we're gonna talk all about this because this stuff is insane. And of course, we got some other Pokemon news in this video, so make sure to stick around. I know some of you guys are just like, bro, Gen 10 hasn't even dropped yet. Chill. Dude, I know. I know. But hey, bro, when this stuff pops up, we have got to talk about it. Because of course, after Generation 10 and then the other games that will drop in between Winds and Waves and Generation 11, whatever it's gonna be called, which, hey, let me know some concept titles you have for Generation 11. I would low-key love to make a concept logo. All I've made so far are these two logos that are just obviously pretty plain, just saying Gen 11, so let me know a name that you think Gen 11 should have. But with that, subscribe to the channel, turn on the post notifications, help me to our goal of 50,000 subs. Oh, and also one more quick thing. The giveaway Jason and I are running up for a free $20 eShop card is ending August 28th, so it's taking place in the Discord, 100% free to join. We just have it in the Discord so we can keep track of the entries and everything like that. So anyway, sorry for the Gap Fest, let's hop right into it. So this stuff originated from this tweet that we covered a couple of days ago about the new director and co-director for Winds and Waves. So these are the people that are actually directing Gen 10. Somebody said no Omori, which Omori has been the director of the last several Pokemon games. Ball Guy claiming that he is actually working on Generation 11, which is very interesting because with this graph right here, we can see who the directors were for all of the generations of Pokemon. So it is a little weird that Winds and Waves Generation 10 would have a director and a co-director, and then the next generation being 11 would just go back to Omori. I find that very strange, and I just wonder why they are doing that. But anyway, this user said, can you verify internally if there is something codenamed Waddle? It's an old rumor that we had 4 to 5 years ago, but they mentioned these directors, so it's worth mentioning at this point, but could be a coincidence. All Guy didn't really respond to that codename Waddle. So guys, do you guys remember Waddle? I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember this, but it is very odd that 4 to 5 years ago, that game mentioned these directors that are directing Winds and Waves. So if that is true, because like I just said, I don't remember this personally, but if this is true, maybe the original internal code name for Winds and Waves could have been Waddle. Although who knows, it could be something totally different. Could be like some early concept before they really even had any idea of what they wanted Winds and Waves to be. Or this could just be incorrect, I have no idea. Ball Guy said, I have made every previously widely unknown code name I am aware of public, being Zeus, which we're not 100% on what this could be. We think this could be the DLC for Winds and Waves, but I do not believe that has been 100% confirmed from the leakers and the sources. I think that is just currently the thing that makes the most sense, because if you guys remember, Winds and Waves, some of the early leaks for that game, but where this game was taking place, you know, the region was Greece. It was supposed to be a Greek region, and of course, Zeus with Greek mythology, so maybe the DLC could be taking us to a Greek region. I think that'd be a pretty sick DLC, of course. We've also heard Australia maybe being a part of the DLC in the game as well, because there is a little bit of Australia in one of the beta maps of the game. So that's one of those things that could possibly change. Australia could be scrapped from the game and maybe they're saving it for a future generation, which Gen 11 Australia maybe? Dude, I would love that. An Australian region would be peak. A region based in Greece would also be peak. Bro, there are so many amazing places in the world that they could just take some inspiration for to make a region out of. So guys, let me know, what is your dream Pokemon region? Karasu, the next Legends game, of course, most likely going to be Legends Galar, and then P30, which that's one of the newer ones. Project 30, and that is also allegedly the one that's overseen by Omori. And if you've been following, you know, the channel for a few weeks and months now, P30 has been brought up a few times recently. So just to quickly summarize, basically originally we weren't really sure what this could be, but now we do know because Ball Guy is a very reputable leaker and he does come out to say what it is. So this person said, I've never heard of P30, is that Seed, which that is another code name for the MMO. I'm sure most of you guys already know all these code names. I'm just reiterating it to summarize and for the people that haven't heard of this stuff yet. Ball Guy saying no, it's Generation 11. The last time I mentioned it, I hadn't yet realized it and sought some additional context after my tweet. So this was a couple of days ago. Ball Guy is coming out to say P30 is in fact Generation 11. I mean, firstly, when P30 did come out to the light of day that we heard of it for the first time, I guess he didn't know it was Generation 11 for sure with certainty. A lot of people are thinking it could have been a classic game, some sort of classic collection, because P30, Project 30, it's currently the 30th anniversary of Pokemon, so maybe it was some sort of secret big game that was overseen by Omori, which Omori obviously is always involved with bigger Pokemon games, not the lower stuff, just like the major stuff pretty much. So This person also responding saying, it is interesting though that P30, which presumably refers to the anniversary, is the code name for Gen 11 and not Gen 10. I wonder if that's because of the delays, which is true. It's weird that this is a code name for Generation 11, but I'll explain why that makes sense. Because Ball Guy saying Project 2030. So this seems like Pokemon and Game Freak are planning on the typical 3-year gap in between new generations that we usually have had for like pretty much the last several generations of Pokemon, whereas the gap between Gen 9 to Generation 10 is going to be 5 years. So that internal delay honestly may have just been so they could really just, strategize and focus and get the next couple Pokemon games running, planned out, and just kind of, just giving them a little bit of extra time. So it does seem like Generation 11 will be dropping in 2030. So now the current layout is most likely Generation 10, then the Generation 10 DLC, the next Legends game, Pokemon MMO, the official Pokemon MMO, and then Generation 11. I do believe that's the current next slate, the upcoming slate of all the Pokemon games. Of course, things can always change, because I want to reiterate this. Things can always change. They could completely scrap the MMO any day. They could change the Legends game and delay it. They could delay Generation 11 to 2031, which I honestly would not be that surprised, because typically with Pokemon projects, they usually have a original codename that does get altered and does change. So I wouldn't be surprised if, in a couple of months, maybe a year, even 2 years, Project 30 could be completely scrapped and changed to something with a completely different code name, if that does make sense. So Gen 11, guys, is coming soon. So also within this tweet, somebody else said Omori is actually a senior director. He continues to lead and oversee Winds and Waves. He hasn't disappeared from the picture. Ball Guy saying, I never claimed the latter. These are the directors who are primarily communicating with the main project staff, while Omori has a much stronger internal presence with Generation 11 currently. Omori is simply an executive sponsor and guiding figure as he was for Tochigi, nothing more. Somebody else asked if Tochigi left Game Freak. Ball Guy saying he did, and basically the reason why is because he wanted to focus on indie work, which is very interesting and pretty cool, honestly. So I wonder what games he's working on. Moving on to the quick ball news, which I think I might call this segment quick ball news. I'm thinking about getting an animation made with a quick ball that literally just says quick ball news. And the reason why it's quick ball news is because this is the segment where we quickly just talk about other Pokemon news that doesn't really need to have any more explanation behind it. The new Pokemon Champions interview saying that they have surpassed 10 million total downloads 8 days after the mobile release, which is insane. Obviously it makes sense because it is a free-to-play game. Over 1.3 million players joined the June monthly challenge series. Mega Evolution focused regulations will continue beyond September with more editions planned. And interestingly, Hoshino says the team is carefully considering how legendary and mythical Pokemon should be introduced and positioned in Champions. So obviously more updates, more Pokemon, everything is being planned for this game. This game is in it for the long run. Physical version of Pokopia expansion pass has been announced, so it's going to be a code in the box for the DLC. So it's not really a physical release. That makes sense. It's like you're just buying the really cool artwork and the cool case, but it's just a code in the box. And with the Winds Waves Professor and Champion, this is some more artwork, like fan art basically, of what they will pretty much resemble. You can definitely see how a lot of the sources were saying that this character does look like N from the Unova region, and then of course this is the professor of the game. Now it's not gonna look like 1-to-1 of this. This is just like a rough fan art sketch. So shout out to the guy that made this. It's pretty sick. Now these awesome statues apparently dropped in the Pokemon Center in the USA. Dude, I want these so bad. Are you kidding me? This is insanely cool. And the Delta Rain set is dropping soon. So here's the product lineup, which is pretty, typical stuff. Got some more packs and boxes down here. And of course, some of the cards, bro. Dude, these go absolutely crazy. Apparently it's going to be cut from the set and turned into the ETB promo, which honestly, this is like one of the coolest ETB promos I've ever seen. And here are some of the other cards down here as well. So this set is pretty sick. I definitely hope I can find some in the stores. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you're really watching this far, comment down below, banana. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.